Thanks for making it down here.
Of course.
On this cold winter night.
I know it was like 40s yesterday, and I was like, oh, it's a beautiful day. And then I go outside, it's like 11 degrees. I was not happy.
Does part of you though get sad seeing the snow melt?
Yeah, it feels not correct.
Yeah, it feels premature.
Yeah, like it's a false sense of hope.
Yeah,
a little bit. And I'm like, no, stop, don't think that.
I look at snow as like progress. Like
it's gone now.
We need to get our feet of snow.
Yeah,
our feet of snow, and then to see it like so now seeing like dead grass.
It feels incorrect.
That ain't right.
Yeah,
I'd rather see lots of snow.
And I feel like I prescribe March, April to be very wet and muddy. And then I go out on a walk with my wife, try to do it every day, just get out because it's like very little sunlight. You have to get some sun on the skin.
Yeah.
And it's just like wet puddles everywhere. And this is not correct.
Isn't it the worst driving?
Yeah.
When snow is melting, you have to use all your windshield wiper fluid.
Yes.
Because if you're on a freeway where there's lots of traffic, there's always a car in front of you. Just putting splatter on your windshield. I just
drove to Iowa to visit some family, and it was white, like salt crust the whole way.
Yeah.
I don't know how I have any more windshield wiper left. Yeah.
Ever run out and then have to go out and get snow and then wipe off the windshield?
Yeah, I try to spray it and then it would just freeze. And I'm like, oh, this is not gonna work.
Or I don't know. I don't have a garage, so like you gotta clear away the sprayers.
Yeah. You know? Oh yeah, because it won't work, or you have to pull them back. Like I had that when I didn't have a garage in college, and it was just it didn't work.
Yeah,
it didn't work.
It won't. Yeah, and then you have like a bunch of blue snow, like someone dropped a snow cone or something on your windshield on your hood.
That's right.
See, we have fun with the cold.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Well, I notice when I'm on calls with people that aren't from the Midwest, I tend to bring up the weather always. Mm-hmm. And I have to kind of catch myself. I'm like, everyone knows you're from the cold. Like, just wheel it in a little bit.
It is a novelty, though, for those that don't live in it.
Or I had a buddy a while ago from Oregon, and he's like, does it actually get cold here? I'm like, it's winter. Next week when it's going to get cold, we'll do the classic. There's two classics. You have the boiling water trick or the wet t-shirt trick.
What's the wet t-shirt trick?
So you get a wet t-shirt and you put it on a hanger and you hold it for a minute or two.
And it's stiff.
And then it's upside down and stays there.
Oh, wow.
He's like, what? And I'm like, it's like 20 degrees. It's not even that cold. So yeah, a little novelty. It's kind of fun. It's like a kid. A kid sees it for the first time and yeah, you get your
like a banana and liquid nitrogen.
Oh yeah,
use it as a hammer.
Yeah, and it breaks. Yeah,
I don't know if it does. That's
does it stiff? Does it say stiff?
You could pound in a nail with a banana.
Really?
I think so.
I would not, but liquid nitrogen. So you couldn't do it out in you couldn't put it in a snowbank right now, or does it have to be like cold?
Oh, it's so cold that that's why it works to pound in a nail with a banana.
Wow.
Yeah,
if you I'll just have to go get my own trusty nitrogen supply.
You might think, oh, Brandon knows a lot about science. No, it's just a testament to how many YouTube shorts I've seen.
Oh, sure.
And if there is a brag in there, if there's a humble brag in there, it's that I'm on science YouTube.
Yeah, right. It feels a little
clips of Breaking Bad YouTube shorts where I've been before as well.
Yeah, the little educational. It feels like you're productive a little bit.
Yeah. Those. In the comments, allow for a few things too that make you chuckle. And
oh yeah. I have to watch myself. I feel like
shorts are the time killer.
I've been really bad on shorts. Twitter has been bad. So like I feel when I work out, I'll scroll on Twitter or I'll go on YouTube.
Do you feel your energy change?
100%. I actually notice it if I do it earlier in the day. It tangibly affects my ability to be productive throughout the rest of the day.
Wow.
Yeah. And especially if I made it a habit when I was working out, like I'll be like, oh, I'm just walking around. Like, what are you going to do? Right. And I bring my computer now into my workouts because then I stop myself from going on my phone. So like a bigger screen does something to like not get into addictive things. Now the downside is then I just start working instead of working out, which is
how do you fit in? That's impressive. Like I usually carry a little notebook with me.
Yeah.
So like if I'm like in the middle of writing something, maybe. Sure. But
you need
I've tried at the gym before, but I need like a few minutes to like adjust. That you can get into work mode between sets is impressive.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's a stretch. I think like responding to emails or like Telegram messages or sometimes I will do like if I'm so like in the morning I'll try to read while I walk on the treadmill. Like I'll try to stack habits and it makes a little worse as of late. Moved into a house, so you kind of break everything. But when I was really good, I would read and walk for 30 minutes in the morning, and then I'd kind of have the brain, pumping from what I just read, and then I would write down stuff in between sets, and half of it was work related, half of it wasn't, and try to get some things done, but it's kind of hit or miss. So I don't know. It felt. If it's a habit, I think that's a big takeaway. I think it's Atomic Habits. You'll combine those.
Do you Atomic Habits says to combine tasks?
So like if you have a habit that you do all the time in the morning, like you work out, and attach another one to it, and then you do that at the same time. Yeah.
Do you go to a gym or do you work out at home now?
I used to. In my previous apartment, I had one in the building. Yeah. And then now I have my own home gym, but it was very poor. It was a regular bench, and then I got a treadmill, so now I can walk in the winter. And it's been very piecemeal. Now I have dumbbells from 5 to 50 pounds. Okay. And I've been doing. It's been okay. Now I'm getting an actual set of weights and actually getting into it a little bit more. So I tried to be active as much as I can, but it's, you can only do so much.
What's a wild experience is when you go to the gym and then you realize you forgot your phone.
Oh,
I've done that.
Really? But how do you listen? So like, do you listen to music when you work out?
Well, then I won't.
Really?
So you just not only will I not go on anything between sets, but I won't have anything to listen to, like headphones. So then it's just me in the gym.
But like I kind of respect that.
How can I do it? No, I'm being like silly here, but at the same time, it's like a big.
I'd have to go grab it.
I've gone home before.
Really?
And gotten and come back. It's
how
not
far
far
away is it?
It's not far. It's less than a mile. It's like less than a mile.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's not far at all. And like I've gone back and gotten the phone. Like I think when I needed it.
Sure.
Like someone might be ringing me or I need to check some. Well, I don't know. Like I went back and got it. But there have been times where I just said, you know what? Just pretend it's 20 years ago, dude.
Sure. Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, maybe I'll talk to someone. I mean, the challenge is that no one else, well, that's not true. But very few young people don't have headphones in.
Of course.
So
it's too easy convenience of the technology for young. It's just like, you've never not had that.
Yeah.
It's like the danger of the real world. It's like you just have the mask on and the ear pods in. You don't have to listen no, it's not fair. I feel like that's David Goggins has talked about basically if you listen to music when you're walking or running or working out, it's like you're not getting the full experience. Mm-hmm. He's kind of really, the pure experience is all that matters. Mm-hmm. I've not felt the compulsion personally, but I kind of respect it. It's like you're living life the way it was meant to live.
Yeah, I see I see the potential benefit of that. Mm-hmm. If music helps you exercise, then obviously that's a benefit too.
Sure.
So I like a middle ground where I listen to something instrumental.
Sure. Oh yeah,
totally like a beat.
Yeah. I have a hard time with lyrics in my music while I'm working out. But then the flip side too is I had a period in my life a couple 4 or 5 years ago where I was just no stimulants, no caffeine, and I worked out and it was okay. Uh-huh. It wasn't incredible. But I started when I was getting back into the workout habit when I moved to the Twin Cities, I kind of formed, I'm not going to drink any coffee unless it's while I'm working out. Mm-hmm. The real reason why is because there's a bunch of studies on this, but in my experience specifically, it was very hard to get a good workout in without something to get me in the zone. Music is one of those things, but caffeine, it's night and day. Mm-hmm. And so I do 1 cup of black coffee. I don't do any, I used to do pre-workout and the crazy kind of intense stuff. Your skin would tingle and whatnot. And you did it because you'd get an extra rep out in the bench. I don't know if it's worth it. They say it's safe. Who knows? But the black coffee is pretty well studied. If I limit it to 1 cup and call it a day.
Okay.
So that's all I do. So you music and coffee, if that's your performance enhancing drug for workout, I think that's there's a lot worse you could be doing.
Yeah. You got to find your zone.
That's right.
Yeah. The kind of music. And I find that like today I didn't do much, but I just went to do some stretches and hanging and things. And
sure. I've been doing that a lot more actually.
Just put in that music, and I keep my eyes closed for when I'm stretching.
Mm-hmm.
So it's meditative.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You said hanging. Do you like dead hang on a bar?
Like a pull-up hang, but don't do a pull-up.
Yeah. I have started to do that. It's like what are those inversion tables?
Okay, so upside down?
Yeah, but it's like without having to buy one of them, you just hold, it has the same effects.
Oh, so you hang by your feet?
You can. Yeah. I prefer not to have to do that. I just do what you just described.
Yeah, just hang.
And
just
it
hang.
Stretches.
Yeah.
Like crazy. I feel like my wife is like sometimes hurting. She's pregnant and she's like, oh, I can't like roll over. And I'm like, just hang from this bar for a minute. And she's like, I actually feel incredible. And I'm pretty sure she's like a 1/4 inch taller too.
I've I pulled my back out like 2 summers ago.
Really?
And so since then I've surprise, then you start reading up on this stuff.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
For sure.
And the guy who owns my gym, Tim, he's like, yeah, hang.
Wow.
That'll stretch your
How bad was it for you?
I couldn't sleep for 2 nights.
Holy smokes.
But from what I hear about people pulling their back out and having that pain down your leg, I got off easy.
Oh, I had a similar, it wasn't quite that bad. I had a similar workout. I was doing squats on a Smith machine. So I'm not a fan, but that's all I had. And it makes you do weird angles because it's on a line. And so I did it and it felt a little weird on my left side. I did it one more time and I was like, okay, if I do one more, it's not a good situation, but I have one more in my set. I have one more rep left. I did it. And I was like, I locked it and I couldn't put weight on my left side.
Oh, geez.
And this was right before Thanksgiving.
You got to do that last rep. That's
I know,
crazy.
It's so bad, but I had to wear one of those squat like belts that supports the back through my Thanksgiving dinner. It was bad. And I'm like, I'm called a young guy, so I should not have these problems. And I am now super cautious.
Yeah.
Any sketchiness, I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Not worth it.
Yep. Stop it early.
Yep.
Oh, 100%.
I can do it tomorrow.
Yeah. I've pulled my back out 3 times. And this last time the other 2 times was like, I would sleep just fine, but then getting out of bed in the morning was hard.
Oh, really?
I woke up all stiff and it was difficult to like get up.
Balance.
I couldn't do it.
Well, that's what they say. Like squats is the best workout for your core because it's the entire core, right? But balance, that's all it is. That's why it's so good. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was almost like taking a hallucinogen or something where you have like a trippy experience.
That much pain?
It wasn't the pain that made me trippy. It was the fact that I wasn't sleeping. So I found myself up at like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, just kind of laying there. And I'm actually sober. So I was like a support group around that. I talked to a mentor in that group and I'm like, he's like, hey, I tell you what, Brandon.
That must have been scary.
He's like, the pain won't kill you. But, addiction can. And he challenged me to like, and then he told me about having shoulder surgery and these things. He's an older guy, older than me. And he only took aspirin. So apparently there's a whole world of guys out there that don't do the opiates and women that, that don't do the opiates. And I don't know how my future relationship with opiates lie. Who knows what surgeries I'll get, whatever. But in this case, I took it up as a challenge and I says, okay, all right. So I knew it was agonizing to the point where I couldn't sleep, but he was right. It wasn't going to kill me. So I just laid there. And that's where it got kind of trippy because then it's like, I really wasn't tired either because my body, it wasn't like I was yawning.
Sure.
There was no yawning. There was no heavy eyes. It was really just kind of, you're in a lot of pain, so you're not tired. So I started following new creators on TikTok and like when it's 3 a.m. here, it's 3 p.m. over there.
Sure.
So then I'm suddenly getting to know these people living on the other side of the world Right. It was like a portal or something.
Wow.
It was an interesting experience. Yeah. Yeah. Like two nights of that. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm waking up with, and there was one woman that lived in like West Virginia or something. And she would always go live at dawn at her place. So 6 in the morning or whatever it was, 5:30 in the summer. Whenever. And then I'd watch the sunrise with her, you know?
That's trippy.
So it was trippy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I watch it and it kind of brings me back when I see them and they're like, yeah, it's interesting. And then they gave me a pill steroid.
Oh, really?
Because I was calling the place being like, yo,
I sleep.
Can't, I don't know. I don't, a third day of this.
Yeah.
Like, and they said, well, and they prescribed me a steroid on the third day and I managed to drive myself which was scary.
That's intense. That's heavy machinery.
Getting into a car.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like cars are low. You realize that too when you got a bad back and SUVs are nice and high. So I have to get into my car and then drive to the drive-through. And I managed to get home. And then that really helped.
Wow.
That really helped.
How long did it take for you to feel like you were at a good place to where you could work out again?
Oh.
Like walk is one thing. Without like,
I think I did a class at the gym with the old timers during the day. And I didn't do certain things that I thought might trigger it.
Sure.
So, well, actually first I just did this. So first the back place, not the chiropractor, but like the,
oh, I know what you're talking about.
Orthodont. No,
that's teeth.
That's teeth.
Yeah.
Orthopedics.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. Is that?
I think it was Twin Cities Orthopedics or something. Or
I always mess it up. Is that the foot? Like insole? But now that affects your back. I don't know. This
was a place that I think they deal with a lot of like athletes' injuries and stuff.
Okay, sure.
Anyway, they gave me a bunch of physical therapy stuff, bands, and
sure.
So I did that for a while. Stretches,
like a month and a half, 2 months.
Oh yeah, they gave me a prescription. They said like do these at home for a month. I don't know. Yeah, it was weeks.
Yeah,
it was several weeks. Yeah,
and honestly, like with I think about the United Healthcare shooter. That whole, have you heard of some of the lore behind his back and how I don't know any like of this, the accuracy of all of it, but it sounds like he had a back surgery that went really poorly.
Okay.
And I don't know, you would probably know more about this because you went down the rabbit hole with all of the spinal experiences, but they say like back surgery is oftentimes not necessary and it has a comparably high rate of not good outcomes, like unplanned side effects from the surgery. And so it sounded like this individual went through the experience of a surgery and had not a good outcome. And it basically totally messed up his perception of maybe healthcare, but generally like the medical experience across his entire life. And I think that was partially or largely ascribed to what he did.
Maybe I look for irony where it doesn't exist, but
right.
Is the irony here that he became homicidal because he got healthcare?
I think I don't know. I wish I could know more on that. But you would imagine
like unnecessary healthcare.
Yeah. Or it's like resentment on the fact that like I got this really bad thing and now I'm getting charged $16,000 for it.
Did he have a big bill?
I don't know. I don't think technically that's public, but I'm pretty sure it was related to some of that. And then, there was also like, he went to Hawaii for a while afterwards and like, very like basically didn't work for a while and then came back and, all that fun stuff happened. So I feel like the medical establishment is built upon a lot of assumptions that a lot of people disagree with, and they'll take it into their own hands to voice that opinion, whether or not that's rational, And I think backs, especially I haven't experienced it quite that bad, but like that is a permanent lifestyle change.
I'm amazed at how many people have had back issues.
Yeah.
Like it's very common. And like I said, the ones that I heard about when I was complaining to everybody, I'm like, I felt foolish because then my own mother, first off, she kept it under wraps because she's like that. But 6 weeks,
wow,
she had a hard time sleeping.
Wow.
Like, man, Yeah.
And that's a mental thing
No
now
joke.
too. Not enough sleep. I mean, like just imagine you just didn't sleep for 6 weeks well.
Yeah.
Like not even a back problem.
Yeah.
You just be poor mental performance, physical performance, everything.
Yeah. She said eventually it just started to feel better. Like,
Jeez.
must have been just like prayers answered.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, just a hellish 6 weeks, but.
And everyone needs a hanging bar. Natural.
I almost bought one today.
For your house?
Well, I won't have room in my little apartment, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
You could do
with
it in between the door frame. Not that I don't know how much room you have.
Yeah, maybe. But on TikTok, they have these standalone hanging things, you know, and you got the things if you want to do like knee raises.
Sure, but I feel like that's a lot of space. Where are you going to put that?
I don't know. Maybe I can get rid of my couch.
Sure, there you go. You can sleep on it. You can lay on that and watch TV.
Do I need a queen bed? I could cut it. I could cut it and cut it in a third, make it a twin.
Yeah, is that what it is?
A long college
is it actually
twin?
A third? Yeah.
I don't know. Remember those college twins?
Oh, it was horrible.
Special sheets.
And it was bunked.
Oh yeah, the bunks? Yeah, and our bunks were close.
Oh yeah.
So like I squeezed in there. Yeah. Me and Mark, my
there you
roommate.
Go. Yeah, me and Kyle.
Dorm mate.
Yeah. We had a little bit of space, but not enough.
Yeah.
Classic.
We should probably talk blockchain.
Yeah, maybe. No, this is fun. I like that.
Well, let's ease into the tech. And here's the question I'll ask. So you mentioned your wife's expecting. Chad's a father.
Very good.
And I just had the thought, maybe because I've got more kids in my life despite not being a dad, maybe because I'm starting to open my eyes to the future a little more and have more optimism about it, despite all the chaos we have here in the Twin Cities about society today. But I don't know. I also think I began to feel like some of the really magnified or comprehensive effects of AI.
Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
Because it's going to be such a big, broad game changer across industries and lives. And I just thought, you know, on the other side of all this disruption, things are going to be pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I want to ask you, being a dad to be very, very soon to be, I understand.
Less than a month. Well, who knows, but
about a month.
Yeah. About a month.
So like, have you thought like, you know, when your child is graduating high school, what the world might look like?
Oh, all the time. I think that's one of the, so over the winter break, we took about 2 weeks off from, you know, my team. And I think that was the biggest perception change of AI. I mean, you can read everything on Twitter, but we are to the point where there are the best engineers, software engineers in the world, and they are no longer writing code. Now think about that for a second. The best software engineers in the world are not doing what they did before. They are using agents. Claude Code by Anthropic is the big one. That's the one I kind of got my feet wet a little bit, and I really tried it. And I mean, I'm a full stack engineer. I know how to code. I learned it before AI, so I have the ability to say, you know, back in my day, right? But that was really only like 5 years ago. Really, probably less if you want to say. The crazy growth we've seen feels like every single quarter, maybe 6 months, I'm about 2 or 3 times better at writing software. And that has happened for the past 4 or 5 years. And so you do that, it's not addition, it's exponential, it's multiplication.
So software output is going to be just super efficient.
But what is AI? And in my interpretation of what we're experiencing right here is AI is actually a generic form of digital labor. And so digital labor is how we manipulate information, which a lot of the top earners, human earners of today are people who manipulate information, right? There's this joke on Twitter I see all the time. I've told some of my colleagues, it's if you press the buttons on your computer, on your keyboard in the right order, it will print out $1 billion.
That's an interesting way to look at it. I like that.
And so now you have at your fingertips.
And does that mean you create an app that everyone loves and you'll be rich?
Maybe it could be you tell an AI agent to build you an app that makes you rich.
Okay.
Or,
but it's about creating software that will make you rich.
I think it's software, but it's not just software. I think software is the way we organize information. It's a series of letters, symbols that we say, when something goes in, return it in this way. It's like a math function. And so we need to abstract that concept just past software. And so what it means is lawyers here. It means people who, build engineering physically. It means carpenters who built this table. It means Elon Musk's Tesla and what is it, Optimus robots. They are all going to be operated by agents that manipulate information. And so you asked me at the beginning, what am I thinking about when my kids are going to be my age or going into high school or college or whatever it is? And I think if we're on the trajectory we're currently on, where today, right now, the first wave of this is going to be the best software engineers in the world are not doing what they did before. They're telling AI to do it for them.
And then checking it.
And you'll get agents to do that for you as well. That's how they're currently doing it. You build like this orchestration of agents, AI operators that do what you tell them to do. And the interesting thing is you basically pay the cost of electricity. So I can have 50,000 agents at my fingertips that can build me an app in 5 to 10 minutes. You only need one of those, but a complex app, you could get 10 or 100, what would be software engineers that you had to pay that was limited by physical bandwidth. Now we're limited by digital bandwidth, which moves at the speed of light. It's electricity and it costs electricity, which is really not that much. And it's going to get way cheaper. And so the main thing I continue to come back to is I don't think much of the assumptions we make about the world are going to be true, even in the next 5 years, nevertheless, the next 20. And so
why?
Because at least this is my thesis, that labor is being redefined. And when we have the ability to tap into artificial intelligence that operates like digital labor, but operates at a fraction of the cost, what are the implications? I think we're going to see something very similar to how we saw, let's say, the college to professional athletes pipeline. What happened there? Well, over time, and really since the beginning of time, unequal gifts were given to children. And what I mean by that is a subsection of the top 10% of children who played or were athletic were the best leaders in their middle school football team. And then of them who made it to varsity, probably like half of them. And then of them who made it to the Division I college, maybe like a couple percent of the entire state, and of them who made it to the pros, a couple percent at best. And so what you actually have is of the entire pool of individuals at the middle school level, only like a 1 in, let's say 10,000 of them made it to the pro level and got paid an enormous amount of money, like millions of dollars every year. And even then, most of the pros that are paid are practice squad. They're like, okay. And they're compared to the average D1, they're incredible. It's not even close. Practice squad NFL players could beat most colleges today. And so think about the difference in the inequality of the outcomes, primarily just because genetics is unequal in its gifts to us humans. And we see that the top 1%, let's say, of athletes make a vast, enormous amount of money. I believe we're going to see that across almost all knowledge work. So the top, 1% of engineers are going to be paid tens of millions of dollars because they can train the best agent for engineering. And it's going to be worth so much money.
It'll be worth so much money, and in part because the work they do is super valuable, and because you don't need many of them. So it's very competitive. It's
competitive, but I also think there's this funny like paradox, which I don't know the answer to, which is, I forget the name. I think it's Jevons paradox, where basically the more of an asset you have, the more useful and valuable and in demand it is. So a good example of this would be steel, right? We improved our capacity to manufacture steel over the Industrial Revolution, let's say of the past 80 years. And so from 1940s, post World War II, let's say, to today, our capacity to manufacture steel has 1,000, 100,000x over that time. Did the value of steel go down? Maybe per unit, but did the demand for it go down? Absolutely not. We built skyscrapers. And so there's this funny dichotomy in my mind where we're going to have this increase in inequality. Financially, that's the obvious one, but also like the capacity to find a role that values you for your ability. Right now, we have most people are okay at their job, and that's a good enough. But now what happens if we don't need them for 80 to 90% of those jobs? We're going to have that shift, while at the same time, we value really, really good people at a higher rate to where maybe we are okay with that. And actually the okay person produces way more. And so we hire more of the okay people. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out, but that's kind of what I'm thinking about all the time.
Are we seeing that right now where you hear about Facebook and OpenAI paying software engineers tens of millions of dollars?
Now, yes, I think so. I think there's also this funny balance where it's probably a game of more short-term arbitrage where they're trying to hurt each other in a game to
arms race.
Yeah, it's a existential threat kind of thing. They're willing, to deploy a lot of capital for the labor that it takes to build these systems. But I think what we are going to see is kind of the funny, big announcements. I've just committed to whoever, and it's like a $50 million deal for someone coming out of college. Coming out of like University of Minnesota, the best performing students.
Because you need people to know how to code. Because you need to know if what. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need to know how to code because as long as the app works, who cares? But I would think you still would want to know how to code to look through it, just in case there's something malicious in there.
Yeah, that's actually very relevant. Absolutely, I think there's so I think about coding. There's like 3 phases of coding. You have the warm up phase, which is what am I building? How does it work? Conceptualize in my brain these functions that need to be in place so that the entire system works. The middle 80% was the actual process of mechanically typing in what you want. And then the last 10% was sanity checking the output of that code. Does it work? Does it work the way you expect? Are there exploits? All that fun stuff. And so now, specifically with software engineering, the middle 80% has condensed to 10%. So that entire cycle of building software is now 30% compared to 100.
I see.
So it's a third. And this is made up. Maybe that 10% less, and then the other one's kind of condensed too. And so I think what we're going to have is we're going to have a similar experience to what we had with, say, Python today, which is a very common software language that a lot of college students learn, that uses C, the language, which you could go all the way down to machine code, which is a basically not legible version of how your software talks with the hardware, the actual physical, my phone's chips, my device. Nobody goes into the bytecode, the machine code, to look at what's happening, to verify, because they expect that Python does what it does. And so I think we're going to have something like that, where a vast majority of the experience that we have with software is coming down to, did it do what I want? And iterate on top of that, give more context, because it can't read your mind yet. So I think there's still some room for the interface of communicating with these agents.
And then the analogy of steel, you make a lot of steel, then a lot of people can use it. Yeah. Then it can be used in more. It can be used in more places.
A lot of businesses that use it to build trains.
So it's not just a few monarchs that are building castles with it or whatever. It's being used across the world, and so the demand goes way up because there's way more people that can have access to it.
Again, another interesting paradox, which is the value of capital is more valuable now because you can now use it to deploy more agents at a much larger scale. So it's like the difference between a knight on a horse versus a guy with a gun. It takes hundreds of knights, assuming I have enough ammunition, to take an individual down with a gun. Now, I don't know if that holds, right? Does an oligarch with billions of dollars and hundreds of billions of agents that are constantly running offense and defense for his empire, does that become easier or harder to break down if you have a team of 5 or 10 people who have a passion to do something to that oligarch.
I mean, my brain is starting to consider warfare in the future.
Absolutely.
But
that probably will happen.
But I was first thinking of the steel analogy. And the other thing I was going to say about that is, like with steel, and you have more of it, it can be used in more places. And now more places want it. So maybe it'll be that way with code and AI.
Yeah.
So if you are in the, you're not in the top 10% of coders, you're not in the top 1%, getting paid millions of dollars, but there is now a big need for coding or agent oversight, AI oversight, that the AI will do the coding, but they still need someone to operate the thing. Yeah. So they'll hire you in all over across the world now.
Oh, yeah.
Because
absolutely.
now it's not just US and a few countries around the world that are dominating the app and the software market. Now every country, every city,
that's one of the big benefits of COVID.
So it's going to spread. Just like steel gets now used all over the world, even in poor countries. And now maybe software development will be
and I think
all over.
I think we think of software development as like something bespoke and unique to people who want to build apps. But I think that there's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity for regular non-technical individuals to start to use these tools to automate their jobs, to automate things that they previously could not automate using agents. And in the long run, that will do what you just described. Like, it's not going to require a team to say, we need to agentify your business. It's going to be like, I'm an accountant, and I realize for my business that I'm accountant for, I can actually cut something that took 10 hours down to 30 minutes. In fact, I actually had this experience. I going to a lot of medical appointments with my wife, and we were charged by health insurance an incredibly high amount of money for something that the hospital gave us a quote for. It was not supposed to be that high. And so I basically put in the PDFs into ChatGPT, and I said, here's these details. Here's information about my insurance. Like, what do I do? And then it took 25 minutes.
That's a long time for AI.
It took 25 minutes of thinking.
Wow.
And then it spit out a 12-page PDF with fully filled in appeal form. It took my transcript from a chat that I gave it and said, here's the exact excerpts from this Exhibit A. It made this all fancy. And then it said, here's the message. Send this into the portal. That would have taken me a full weekend. And it took me 25 minutes. Actually, it took me less than that because I didn't like sitting there like twiddle my thumbs staring at this AI agent doing my work. I put it in there. It took me like 30 seconds.
It took you only 30 seconds to tell it what to do?
Yeah. I mean, I had to like drag and drop files, and then I like wrote 2 or 3 sentences. Maybe like a minute. Let's be generous. But yeah. And so imagine that, but at scale.
Well, how do you think this is going to shape? Because when I consider what the future is going to look like, I consider what it's going to feel like.
Yeah.
Like, you've seen some of my stuff. I tend to write more about society.
Yeah.
What is a country? What is a state?
Yeah.
What is
these definitions are totally going to change.
What are these jurisdictions that we have that we're so used to and think they're going to last forever, but I don't think they will. And so, like, what is a community? We've seen some of that strain already when people don't often know their neighbors, or at least don't know their neighbors as much because they don't have to, right? We used to know our neighbors really well. I grew up knowing all my neighbors because we didn't have the internet when I was little.
Right. So,
there wasn't like there was an online connection I had with people elsewhere. Like, you only had now there was phone, of course, and I'd call friends.
Right.
But neighbors meant more, right? They just meant more. Now, And I grew up in the country too, so that's also part of it.
Yeah.
But now most people, they live in a city or near a city or something, and your connections are, if they're still based in the real world, you often meet them online.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, let's do a meetup at this bowling alley or at this place or that place.
Online dating, which doesn't actually work really.
Like it's still founded online, largely based online, and then you go and meet up like we do for our organization, right?
Yeah.
MNblockchain,
Absolutely.
right? Like we find each other. I get LinkedIn requests to connect all the time, and then oh, you're actually doing something in the real world.
Yeah.
You have meetups. Oh wow. And then people will say all the time at our meetups, oh, I'm so glad I found a community of people who enjoy this stuff. But it just seems like that's going to continue. And I don't see the dissolving of communities because that's
kind of an integral component of what it means to be a human.
That's fundamental.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, like a state. Let's just take a state.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
does someone in Mankato, other than being part of the same taxed area, really have a ton in common? And they might, or they might not. But that's the point. Like it's not by necessity anymore.
Right. Like
we used to have to be friends with our neighbor by necessity because they were the only people around.
Yeah.
And now I can be friends with countless people, infinite numbers of people practically.
Absolutely.
Online.
Yeah.
And then maybe or maybe not meet in the real world. And it used to be all geographically based. So everyone in this state will have one governor, and then that will determine, through laws and so forth and ideology, what our tax rate is and how much money we give to the arts and this and that. And that's it seems like an arbitrary based.
Absolutely.
It's not a literal community.
Yes.
A town.
Look on the border of a state, right? Like these two individuals between the border of I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, there you go.
Which is right next to Moorhead, Minnesota.
Yeah, there you go.
They're literally called the Fargo-Moorhead area. Mm-hmm. And they have more in common than someone in Moorhead does with someone in the Twin Cities.
Correct.
It's not even close. And so I think that's one thing that's very adjacent to some of the stuff we talked about recently with prediction markets, which is the rise of systems that cannot be taken down if a state decides it. So that's one of the really important things that I see as being a core contributing factor to the future and where we're going. If a government says, hey, I don't think that this thing is good, they ban it. And they say we can enforce it within our laws, within our jurisdiction, because we have a police force or a military that will enforce it at the end of a gun. And so I think there's this tension between this really critical requirement of a state, which is security, right? Protect those inside of the state or the individuals who are identifying with that state, which is a funny way to say it, but that's kind of how it's coming now, right?
And you're identified. You're a subject of the state,
right? Just
by being born there, whether you like it or not.
Correct. Yeah. And the whole idea, which was really great from the founding fathers, was if you disagree with a state that you're a part of, go to the next one. And vote with your feet.
Leave the states.
And so I think that's actually an invaluable requirement. I think the EU is in a really tough spot right now because they're more country driven, and you talk to some people and they're like, it's probably going to get violent for a variety of reasons. Whereas here we have this loose control of security through a federal government, which is in a United States, in which I think I have this funny concept of us going towards a more sort of city-state-like structure in the future. But at the same time, there's limitations. So I think we're going to have an economic, it's a little bit of a funny word to say, but economic zone of control where you have states with vested interest in the success of economic agreements and transactions being enforced by protections with security. And if something threatens that, they will respond as if their nation was threatened, but they don't have the same social guarantees or social protections that one would ascribe to being a welfare program, for example. And so I think, especially in the context of digital currencies, which was the entire point of Bitcoin in 2009, the idea was money's being printed indefinitely. We need a system to exist outside of the realm or the purview of the government. And so you can't print Bitcoin, or at least you can't print more than what is prescribed in the code. And so the takeaway there is the government could not turn off Bitcoin if it tried, or it could, but it would be very, very costly, because it like a symbiotic relationship that morphed into the foundation of the internet. And so if you want to get rid of Bitcoin, you have to turn the internet off. And even then it wouldn't really work, because there's people running it offline, or there's people running it. There's like people supporting the network with underground taps that are detected with a seismograph across the US and across the world. They're communicating on top of the Bitcoin network using seismograph taps underground. So imagine you turned it off. Okay, cool. When you turn it back on, they're just going to continue going. How do you
maintain or interact with the Bitcoin protocol offline?
It's not offline in the sense that you can do it without internet connection. But I think the big thing is so the Bitcoin protocol, the way it works is it determines what is correct by looking at the length of the chain. So it says, what's the longest blockchain of Bitcoin? And the longest one is what's referenced as the truth. So as long as someone underground has the current one, you turn it off, and then these nodes continue to communicate by running, let's say underground. Like they do like literally, I'm not an expert with this,
Morse code or something.
They do like most data is transferred through flashes of light through optic wire, or modulating radio waves through like 5G or 2.4G with Wi-Fi. They do the same thing, but they do it underground. So they tap and they communicate. Wow. And so in that situation, if they continue to run without using the internet, and they continued to add to the Bitcoin network while everyone else couldn't because the internet was down, they would be the source of truth because they have the longest chain. Assuming they continue to do the math to run and find these blocks.
They have validators?
Or they would be the validators. Yeah. Too. So it's sort of a doomsday scenario. Yeah. But the big takeaway here is governments can't turn that off.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, but it's not going to work. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
It's just going to pause it.
Yeah.
And so that doesn't really do anything. And so what I'm both concerned and intrigued about is a future where not just Bitcoin exists, but an array of financial products exist. And it exists in a way that cannot be turned off. So a good example of something that a lot of people would say is probably not the best is Tornado Cash. Generally doing something like, and I believe that people should have the right to privacy. Tornado Cash was a product built with that in mind, and it was used by criminals. And a good way to think about that is a technology that's used by criminals is a technology that is as neutral as it can get, because both good and bad people use it. And so I think the government, the Office of Foreign Asset Control said, hey, this thing on Ethereum is illegal. It was facilitating, I'm sure, like North Korean, like Project Lazarus. They hack these protocols, they take a lot of money, and then they funnel it. And so they said, hey, this was like facilitating foreign terrorism, which it kind of, in a sense, was, but so is dollars, and so are the internet, and so is everything we use every day. The wood is used by terrorists, but we don't ban that. So I digress. Imagine a world where that continued to work. It did, right? You just couldn't use United States infrastructure to access it. It worked everywhere else perfectly fine. Nothing changed in Russia if they wanted to use it. And so imagine that, but at the scale of every system that we currently use. Finance is just the first one. And I think that that's a fascinating concept in light of what is a nation.
Yeah.
Right now, what is a nation? It's the dollar enforced through the military. And it does a really good job of that. And that's very valuable. But in the future, where the dollar works to shut off Russia in the form of a sanction for attacking Ukraine, that's great up until it isn't, because now everyone knows the dollar is a liability because they can get turned off at any point. And so now I see where we're going is countries recognize this and people recognize this. The Canadian Canadian truckers were debanked for protesting.
Yeah, I know the good eventually outweighs the bad. What bothers me or scares me, though, is the chaos in the interim, which could last a long time. Because what if it's not just money that changed? Like, if the world goes to crypto, I think that could happen actually and not break down every other social institution.
Yeah.
But what if courts and police, and like we're seeing it here in Minneapolis, where it's not the police, although it was the police 5 years ago.
Sure.
But now it's ICE, and people are just...
And I think in the long run, technologists and individuals pushing forward progress in certain like crypto or whatnot they're going to be in the butt end of that eventually, which is a little bit scary. I totally agree. I think that's a massive threat. And in the long run, that's probably, I'm not so sure it's going to get better right away. I think it's the saving grace, or maybe it's not, I don't really know how to read it, is social consensus has been met on entirely distributed parallel systems, like parallel economic systems. Use Bitcoin as an example. There have been times where like there was an exploit with Bitcoin at one point. It was a massive inflationary bug in the early teens. Then they fixed it, and everyone came together and said, this is clearly not what it was designed for. Let's fix it. Let's everyone update. The Ethereum DAO, the DAO hack, that was an incredibly fascinating situation that showed social consensus could be met in a world that we didn't have laws to say that that's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
And so I do hold some hope in a world where dollars cannot be seized, or maybe not dollars will always be seized, but like other forms of assets can exist in a parallel system. And in fact, I hope we're going to a world where...
I don't know how that scales.
Yeah, I hope it's something like a customer sort of structure where I shop for my favorite, bottled water or whatever it is. And if one of the waters has contaminants, then I say, hey, I'm not going to pay you money. Maybe in your idea of a network state, we get to a point where you can opt in or out to different institutions in some form and pay taxes to one over the other. Don't know how that's going to work with our current structure, because you kind of can't opt out. Even expats can't opt out. They have to pay an exit tax and then some.
Yeah.
I don't know where we're going with that, but I think it's going to get very crazy, and that's going to get tested.
Let's just get real basic. If law enforcement breaks down in a from a very high level, like
taxes can't be enforced to pay.
We've seen this, right? Remember when what was her name? Bundy. Remember those Bundy boys out in Idaho or Utah?
Yeah.
This is 2014, and I remember this because I think I was in Tanzania. I think something like that, something around there, and they actually had a standoff with the bureau, either the Bureau of Land Management or the FBI. I can't remember.
Yeah,
but they had guns pointed at each other. And then the government stood down.
Oh, really?
So it wasn't like Ruby Ridge
I was just gonna say
Waco.
Ruby Ridge.
No, this was one where actually the government backed off.
Really?
And those Bundy boys, and I think they would later get arrested and in trouble for different things.
Yeah.
But like, this is before like a lot of the craziness we're seeing now.
Wow.
And I could see larger jurisdictions like the country, like the FBI, just not being able to handle all the... Like if you only have so many resources,
absolutely.
Right? And if Tallahassee, Florida has a something for the FBI to look at, and Anchorage, Alaska has something for the FBI to look at, and Provo, Utah has something for the... I mean, it's just...
And that's the big thing. So like normally what they would do is say, hey, they're using dollars over PayPal to facilitate the funding of these things, and then shut it down. And then the PayPal says, okay, well, what are you going to do? You're going to we're going to get screwed if we don't. So you shut it down. But now we live in a world where there are rails to facilitate exactly what you're describing. And like, there's a lot of people in particularly rural areas who will say, yeah, let's just not pay taxes to this area because I disagree with them.
I just wonder what'll happen.
I think the infrastructure is there for that to happen.
So where I said I wanted to go really basic with this was, let's say there's, like you're going to pay me for protection.
Right? Oh yeah.
Is that called? What's that called?
Like mercenary, or like private security?
Yeah, that's a particular crime where you're going to pay me for protection. But anyway, it's the old like kind of mob or gang, and you hear about it in Latin America.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Let's say they establish something like that in I don't know, a rural county in Minnesota. Now I suppose the sheriff would. It's like, no, you're not, right?
Definitely.
So it's like, in other words, the physical stuff, right? The robberies, the kidnappings, right? Who's gonna? And then if you do catch the bad guys, what jail do they go to? That whole criminal justice, I guess, infrastructure. That's what, because like it's such a dumbbell of things being pulled apart, and you got two. There's all these opportunities to handle things on a network state, to handle things.
You always need a physical,
digitally, and I'm going to choose where I'm going to be a citizen. We're gonna evolve past that's
a cute idea.
The land-based citizenry. Okay, and I'm going to choose to be part of this network state or that e-resident here. And I do love these ideas. I'm all about them.
Yeah.
But if some guy comes to my house with a gun,
you're going to call 911.
Who am I going to call?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And there's this physical world we live in, this meat space, this, and it's like we could be having paradise in the metaverse and The Walking Dead.
Absolutely.
Outside. Or
that's like kind of the worst case scenario. I don't know if we get that bad. I hope not. At least.
I don't either. But I just don't know how we evolve past societal infrastructure, societal institutions, governance, without I don't know how we do it with a peaceful passing of the baton.
Yeah.
To the new system. I don't know. One, governments don't want to give power.
Of course not.
And two, even if they did, I don't know how it would happen smoothly. Yeah. Without bullies saying, I'll take that baton.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Now I'm control of this county.
Right. I mean, that's
what's a county?
Yeah, right. And that's a made up construct. You're going to stretch it a little bit to cover more people because then you get a larger tax basis because you can enforce that because you control the land. That's kind of why I think we go to a steady state level, which is, I think this is my broad thesis. If you prescribe to the fundamental assertion that money is running on blockchain cannot be turned off, which means there is going to be some amount of people that choose not to pay taxes. And because of the way that works, funding, police, required infrastructure, plumbing, whatever, water filtration.
And I need to be able to drink my tap water. That's kind of a core assumption us Americans have. If you cannot pay for that because tax revenue isn't coming in, you either have to print money as a federal government,
or you need to default on your municipal bonds. And that's actually something I could see happening with a few states, especially if California implements its wealth tax and doesn't, say it hits the minimum amount of votes. I mean, it's not even possible for the founders of Google to pay how much it has.
Maybe that's how
it's going.
We'll change dollar hegemony. Because the state will suddenly justify creating their own currency.
That's actually what I'm hearing is like some people are very rumors, but some people are saying that there's going to be some form of
so they can print
CBDC-esque system, and then they're just not going to want to hold it. In fact, this is interesting game theory here with the current administration, which basically got debanked. And whether or not you agree or disagree, that's what happened. They lost access to their financial infrastructure. And as someone like Trump, who has incredible amounts of money, cannot survive without it, will literally die. People will kill him if he cannot pay his, security detail. What do? You say, I'm going to revert back to the institution or system that allows me to pay my security detail so that my kids, my wife, myself are not killed. And so that is why I believe they're so focused on crypto this year go around, because it is an existential threat. If they do not leave the White House with successfully by successfully establishing crypto rails that are sufficiently anti-fragile, they will not survive.
Wow.
And so that's what I think is actually probably going to happen with the nation state, the federal government. They're going to say, well, we have dollars. We have, say, Bitcoin, whatever that, maybe it's not, but let's say it is. We have some digital currency, and this is hard and this is soft. If we print a lot of money and we buy the hard thing, this also includes gold, we're going to be fine. We're probably going to attack South America. We're probably going to take all their resources. We'll dominate this hemisphere. Europe is screwed. Africa is not really our problem. China can have it. And Asia is going to be a fun area that I won't really care about. Then they're going to print the money. In my mind, that's the option set you have.
The U.S. has a lot more of a battery to drain.
It's the funny meme. It's like, what do you say? It's like the cycle. It's like, we don't have enough lithium to make batteries for Tesla Optimus and cars. Some random farmer finds the largest deposit of lithium in like anywhere. And then it's like, okay, we're cool. And then, you forget about it.
Yeah.
Like we have not touched anything of even the US. And I think that you're probably going to see consolidation. We probably won't project as much into Asia, but we will project into our area. So my hope is that this in the United States will probably be fine. But I would be very afraid of anywhere that isn't in the North America or like our hemisphere, because you're not going to have protection, and that's going to be a lot more violent. There's actually this take with Iran, if you're following kind of what's happening there, not an expert by any means, but there's a lot of fascinating outcomes of their regime changing. And there's this contrarian take I've heard, which is basically that Iran was actually a stabilizer for the Middle East.
So was Libya.
Right.
It was a stabilizer for, that region.
Right.
From what I've read.
Yeah. So I think that's
Saddam Hussein.
A lot of power and then a massive power vacuum.
Yeah.
And so now what you're going to have is a lot more violence there. And as long as we can hold on to what makes America protected, I think we'll have the social fabric for a while, especially if this is the longer trade that I would be making, which is if AI continues to progress the way it is, we're going to have 5 to 10% productivity improvements year over year for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You can print like crazy and you will be totally okay. And everyone here is going to be like, things are expensive, but it's not that bad because the productivity increases are offsetting that pretty hard.
As long as you're above the floor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because if you're below the floor.
Well, you'll probably get subsidies.
If Minnesota still is and if states can, if they're generous with their welfare benefits, yes.
I think there's this challenging.
And tax revenues are strong.
Yes. I think through.
Because we're seeing homelessness numbers go up. There's ups and downs year by year, but if you look at it decade over decade, right, it's pretty clear what's going on. Like it's rising.
There's this balance a state has to make, which is what I think we originally tried to do out of being nice, and now it's out of necessity, which is how much do we help those who are struggling, maybe perpetually struggling.
Yeah.
And so what's the trade you have to make? You have to fund some percentage of total productivity, or don't fund it, don't charge it on taxes, and let the non-productive individuals who are below that line suffer. And what I would be more concerned about as a state is not the small percentage increase over time that charges, taxpayers a lot of dollars increasingly, is if we didn't pay them, it would be carnage. It would be horrific. And so the outcome there is basically, I think we keep paying them. And it's going to be really inefficient. It's basically, what do you say, waste, fraud, and abuse. But the alternative is total societal breakdown and carnage in most of our cities.
Well, we're talking about predictions here of the future. So let's talk about prediction markets. I wanted to touch on that because we discussed that when we talked about having this podcast. And I feel like an old dog when it comes to prediction markets. Just like when for whatever reason I never got Snapchat. And I always wondered why it was even going to survive and how it was going to survive. But then now a lot of my family loves it, right?
Post-COVID, you had a fascinating demographic shift of Snapchat from broadly under 25s to what ended up happening, I think, is during COVID, young people came back from college, stayed at home during high school. Their parents saw they were using Snapchat. Like, what is this thing? This is weird. You're sending pictures that disappear? Let me see that. And then they got it themselves and they're like, actually, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. It's like texting on steroids, basically, right?
With you get the little gratification of a photo, which is kind of interesting. And it's personalized. And then the streak is gamified. And
Yeah. But just like I didn't get that at first, and so I never got on that. I learned about prediction markets, or I hear of them.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask some pretty basic questions about them, right?
Of course.
What's the difference between a prediction market and any betting platform? So from what I understand, I can bet on who's going to win this weekend's football games.
Sure.
And in the prediction market, I can bet on who's going to win in this weekend's football games.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what's the difference?
Totally. So that's a really good question. The big difference is when you go to a DraftKings or a FanDuel or whatever your favorite sports betting product is, you're betting against DraftKings and FanDuel. You're betting against a house. And the house hires a bunch of experts who know football or hockey or whatever really well enough to define what you expect the outcome to be. They also reference some other data, but they have a proprietary scoring system of many things. And they say, we predict that the Vikings are going to beat the Packers 10-3. And so you create betting lines on top of that.
I thought the betting lines were determined by the gamblers.
Well, they are influenced by the gamblers, but broadly, it's not a pure market. And the idea is the experts define, and it's also not simply one house. I think I oversimplified pretty significantly. Oftentimes they'll reference across multiple different groups, and they have consortiums of people that meet and say, what's your lines for this? And then they kind of aggregate it and they say, we're pretty okay with this. And then if a bunch of people take anti that line, they'll adjust it because they're like, well, we really priced that poorly. No different than an auction. So they basically market make their own lines.
Okay. So it's possible the line will be different on DraftKings than it will be on FanDuel?
Yes. Often, yes, more or less. And actually, most of the best gamblers, what they do is they just peruse through the lines and then they'll bet big when they think the line's mispriced. No different than like how you do it if you find a stock that's mispriced.
Yeah.
It's arbitrage.
Yeah. Right? Okay.
So
but a prediction market is pure market driven.
It is. So instead of it being defined by a house, because the house has risk, they're the counterparty, what you now have is a market. And so in every market, you have a buyer and a seller. And let's just say it's a order book style, which is what Polymarket is. You have individuals who say the Vikings will win against the Packers. And then the market says, I predict the Vikings will win at an 84% chance.
Yeah.
And so
there's no line.
There's no line, or the line rather can be mapped in reverse from what the market predicts the odds are.
Okay.
So you can calculate the line. It's like +3 or +10 or whatever it is, right? So the way that it basically comes to consensus is saying there's no house, and we're going to just take the aggregate of every single person who has an opinion, and then the market's just naturally going to find where it fits, and then it does, and that's what you bet on.
So if the Vikings are 84% chance to beat the Packers, can you make money by betting on the Vikings?
Absolutely. So the way it works is you oftentimes buy it.
But you'd make more if you bet on the Packers and they won.
Correct. Yeah. So for you put $1 in, you put 84 cents in, 84%, and then you make $1 if they win. So you have a 16% chance of difference.
That's how the math works out.
Yeah.
How are these markets? Oh, and there was nothing like this before Polymarket?
No, there was. It was just banned in the US. Because oftentimes what you ended up having was political predictions, and then there's like electioneering. And that there was some people that thought that influenced outcomes, which you could argue it did.
Yeah, I remember there being like markets and betting on.
Mm-hmm. But you could do it offshore.
Well, but how did Polymarket even become a thing then?
It's offshore.
Well, why didn't those other offshore ones get big?
So that's an interesting question. My belief, you'd have to ask the Polymarket CEO for his opinion, but my understanding is prediction markets are not new. But the problem with prediction markets were specifically around getting enough liquidity. Mm-hmm. So if you have like 5 different products offering, like Kalshi is one and then Polymarket's another, you need to have sufficient liquidity, or else what you have is lines or predictions that don't have enough people betting to find a right prediction. And it's just not an efficient product. It doesn't really work. And so one of the potential opportunities with crypto, and that's why it's tied to crypto, is that you have these systems that are always on and tied to a financial rails.
Oh, so the previous prediction markets weren't in crypto?
You didn't have the infrastructure to support always on independent, there was no smart contracts. Prior to like Bitcoin existing, there were prediction markets that you just had to like trust them.
Sure.
Yeah. And so my understanding is Polymarket was created with the intent, or at least at some point in its existence, was built on top of smart contracts that used, currently what it uses is stable coins, but that allows for a more efficient market to exist.
Sure.
And you can basically white label out Polymarket.
I'm just surprised that there wasn't another Polymarket before Polymarket.
And I think also a pain in there is that because it's not US based, you have to trust them pretty hard. And oftentimes gambling online is not something you build a lot of trust in.
Yeah.
And so Polymarket positioned itself as a prediction market and not a gambling product.
Okay.
And so I would much rather gamble with DraftKings than a random, Euro, for sports betting. Nevertheless, like political betting.
Well, either way, Polymarket, Kalshi, I know them too.
Sure.
Okay, here's my next question. Why do people engage knowing that insiders can just so easily manipulate the, or I shouldn't.
They do manipulate.
Well, even if they don't manipulate, they're able to rig it. So, and this has come out. Well, this is any sports betting. So why would anyone bet on sports if the pitcher can just, whatever. But with prediction markets, like someone in Israel, I guess, which is weird that they even could track the VPN or the IP address, but I think they said it was someone in Israel, suddenly bet big that Maduro was going to be ousted in Venezuela by the end of the month.
Yeah.
And then, a few days ago or a week ago, or whatever it was, he was taken.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even want to bet. Like, doesn't that scare away people from even wanting to engage with these markets when it's so easy to rig them?
So I would want to,
or maybe not rig, but just just exploit.
Yeah. Yeah. You asked this question at one point. I think this is a really good question because it highlights the problems of what was sports betting and
insider
gambling.
Knowledge.
Yes.
And them getting the upper hand.
Yes. And so I think the great way to describe this, I think it's kind of more or less how I chatted about this earlier, was this concept of the intention behind the market. So when let's say other markets, what markets exist? Equities markets. I buy Google stock. What am I buying? I am buying an abstracted fraction of Google that gives me governance rights during board meetings. Yep. It gives me some dividends of the revenue of the company. And my intention when I'm participating with a equities market is that I am putting money in the hands of individuals who give me back a fiduciary stakeholder behavior to increase my money.
Yeah.
What am I doing when I go to a prediction market? I am betting that I can predict the outcome of something better than the market currently says it is. And so in the case where an individual in an equities market has insider knowledge, it is breaking the social contract by which I gave Google money. What you're actually doing is you're taking money away from me, and you do not have my fiduciary responsibility. And so that impacts what the equities market was constructed to do. The prediction market was constructed to predict outcomes. And so how can an individual within a prediction market help the market find an outcome? It is, I have special knowledge, and I'm going to take a position that has an economic incentive behind it that tells the market, hey, everyone here is wrong. And if I don't do this, someone else is going to do it later. And so what you now are seeing...
insiders tip the scale to a more accurate position.
Correct. And what that means is now prediction markets are actually like news. It is a source of truth. And now you have the ability to look at these markets and say, to the best of my knowledge, everyone in the world, because everyone has access to it, except for US on some things currently, maybe that'll change, can predict the outcome of these events. And so you actually want insiders to share their information, because what that now means is that this prediction market is doing a better job at what it was constructed to do. And that sometimes means that you lose money because you predicted the wrong thing.
I guess maybe I'd just be butthurt.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and it would sour my experience. But maybe that's just an emotional thing that I should separate.
Well, and a lot of
from the math.
I think that like with young people, especially, I've talked so much about this, and I'm seeing. I don't think this is going to slow down. We are in a gambler's society.
Like, why would I want to participate in someone else's easy money? Why would I want to participate in that?
Because you make 100x if you get right. I think it's the same reason why, like, why do people want to bet in DraftKings when you know that most sports gamblers lose? The alternative is I'm going to bet on something else that's a little bit better. And Polymarket is a lot better, actually, because it's not a house. So if I'm going to gamble, which I believe is actually going to get a lot worse in terms of like, we're going to have a lot more gamblers, I'm not going to choose a worse product that has a lower expected value of my money. I'm going to choose a better one. And Polymarket, by all accounts, is a far better alternative. It's not even close. Because
in terms of it being fair.
Yeah, in terms of it being fair, and also in terms of like the potential for you to make money. Because it's sort of like by definition, like there's no free lunch kind of idea. If the house exists, it's going to take a part of your winnings. There is no house with Polymarket. There will be. But instead of taking a outcome on the bet, which is what a lot of rigged sports outcomes are, we're going to make sure that the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, right? That's the rigging part. The rigging part, quote unquote, with Polymarket is eventually they're going to turn on fees for trades. So they actually make money on volume, not on outcome, which is the best way of monetizing predictions in my mind, and bets and gambling.
Yeah. These are hard things to talk about in real time, because it took being able to kind of sit there and ponder it for a minute to think about this. Or like when someone put a big position on something right before Trump announced something.
Yeah.
And then like clearly someone who knew was in that circle put that bet on there. And then they came out, with $1 gazillion.
True. Yeah. And that is something that I don't really like. Like, I don't think that it's good that certain lines are clearly being manipulated to make money. So like Brian Armstrong, CEO of Coinbase, was on an earnings call, and at the end of it, he basically said, okay, hey, wait, before we end this, he's like Bitcoin, prediction markets, Coinbase, Base, Wallet, Ledger. And thanks, guys. And everyone's like, what the heck? And then on Polymarket, there was a line on words that he would say during the earnings call.
Well, that kind of, I kind of like that in a way. And
It's
like,
kind of
like
tongue
the
in cheek,
Professor
yeah.
Chaos part of me, because it's like, let's blow this whole thing out because it's just silly.
It is.
So maybe what'll happen is the markets are groundbreaking, right? In how they
It's
can
the
predict
best source of truth for news by far.
for future news.
Well, I suppose everything is future news in a sense.
Well, news is what happened.
Yeah, okay.
This is what's going to happen.
Well, no, but what I mean in that sense is I do not know. I think there's like crazy bets on like, will Iran hit Syria or whatever it is, or Israel and Syria. And what you can do is technically things that have already happened are bet on prediction by Polymarket. It goes from 70% to 100%. And you can say, oh, it got hit because people there are betting on it right now. And it happened before anyone on Twitter even. Nevertheless, like CNN or some regular.
Because someone on
media.
Polymarket will have heard about it.
Yeah, and they'll make money. And so I kind of
because of the financial incentive.
Yes.
It is the most responsive. It's more responsive than social media.
And it's all unbiased, right? Like what's the most unbiased way of communicating? It's money.
It's a market.
A market.
And maybe what Brian Armstrong, I almost said Brian Johnson, but what Brian Armstrong did, what that Israeli did, what that Trump insider did. I don't know if all three of those are in the same category. Probably not. But maybe it'll curb the amount of bets
totally
out there.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if me winning or losing a bet is determined by what the CEO decides to say it at the end.
Yes.
I'm not going to want to bet on that stuff anymore.
Absolutely.
Like, so those sorts of bets maybe
they'll just like say,
away.
Hey, this is not really worth it because it's so volatile. And like Brian just says random words all the time. And like, I'm just have a 50% chance of winning. I could put my money in a better line.
Well, how is this for a way to make money then? So basically anyone in Trump's inner circle has guaranteed, so we know this from Congress.
Pelosi tracker.
Well, yeah, well, anyone in Congress who knows a bill is going to pass,
right,
would be able to then front run it in the stock market.
Absolutely.
Well, now you could go on Polymarket and say, hey, they're gonna they got all this liquidity. They're betting big on what Trump's going to say at the State of the Union address.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I happen to know a speechwriter. Not that Trump, adheres to a speech all the time, but they use that word 6 times in his speech. I saw it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet.
Yep.
So it's anyone that has insider knowledge on these big bets is rich.
Yeah, and I think
is pretty much rich.
These lines are super immature. Right? These are like really immature markets. This thing has not really met what it is going to go into. And I think that like what you're describing here is a problem that will likely be resolved by exactly what you described.
Okay.
Like
sort of like all the stupid altcoins.
Yeah. Altcoins are like penny stocks that are irrelevant now.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, cool. You can make $40,000 in the fringes of the United States equity markets, which is worth trillions. Like, good job, bud. Go into your garage and keep doing it. It's like not even worth most people's times. There will be people who snipe guesses on Trump's speech and they'll get dominated and it's not even worth it. It's kind of like day trading stocks on Robinhood. It's like Citadel has a deal with Robinhood to read all the deal flow and they're going to pre-run and front run all your trades. It's not even worth it. And so,
but that doesn't mean people aren't day trading.
Absolutely. And that's just the same way people aren't gambling.
So so it doesn't turn off people that someone on the inside is going to get rich on this.
Maybe they hope that they also get rich at the same time.
They're fine if the insider makes 100x on their $20,000 bet, as long as I make 100x on my $20 bet.
Absolutely. And I think this is a broader problem or societal challenge that we as human species in America especially, we're going to have to address, which is the epidemic of opportunity in a world where especially young men, but every young person today feels disenfranchised. And the only way to make money is to gamble their way into it.
Mhm.
A great example of this is it is literally not mathematically possible to save enough money in a savings account to buy a house, because the house grows in its price faster than the average young person can save.
So you have to be in the market.
And you have to be gambling. And I don't know if I agree with
Gambling
that.
or just
I mean,
inequities?
I say gambling in a funny way because like buying the S&P 500 is gambling.
Okay, so you're using gambling in a very broad sense.
Yeah, for sure. Like
you have to have your money in the market.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have to be in many ways, right?
Not
So
poly market, but the stock market.
Well, it could be poly market. I mean,
Once it's a stock or poly market bets.
poly market bets or sports gambling. I mean, the number of dollars going into sports betting is astounding, and it's not slowing down. It is parabolic. And it
hasn't reached a tipping point, like
maybe,
or kind of a
maybe eventually
fever pitch because, or whatever, because they've already caught lots of pitchers, right? Who why are you always throwing a ball to start the game?
Yeah.
You never throw a ball to start the game. And then he did it 9 games in a row.
Yeah.
And I wonder how they even convict these guys, because it's all like,
I think they must have like a private investigator to like look at his stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, I found.
Or they proved somehow that someone was throwing a basketball game. Well, they did catch that. That was recent.
He
took himself out of the game.
Yeah.
So that the team wouldn't do as well.
Yeah.
And then
I heard about that.
Yeah.
So like I guess the way I look at this is it's more of a people do not think that they can make money the boomer way.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
That's a little whatever, but that's the take. And so you're going to invest because you can't, you're going to day trade because you can't make your money enough on your own. You're going to gamble on sports. You're going to buy meme coins.
That's your side hustle.
That's what
lottery tickets.
Sure. All of it. It's going to be so bad.
I'm equating them with lottery tickets.
It is. I totally agree. It's mathematically not worth it.
Being active on sports gambling and poly market bets?
I mean, if it was, unless it was poly market, and even then those are getting really hard to win in. There are much more sophisticated people than the average day trader that makes it almost always negative EV, negative expected value.
Same with poly market?
Maybe not poly market entirely, but a lot of lines, yeah. Like, for example, there are sophisticated day traders that poly market does 15-minute lines on if Bitcoin from the beginning of 15 minutes to the end will be above or below where it started. And there are people making more money on poly market as a bot, like a day trading bot or like a hyper trading set up for predicting that than like regular equities. So you're competing against like Wall Street quants.
I see.
In their free time. So
how does poly market even work? Like, how do I find a bet on I bet the Super Bowl halftime performer is going to come out wearing blue. Like how do I
the Gatorade color?
Yeah, how do I find these weird bets?
Yeah.
Do I go on poly market and just search?
Yeah, so they have a whole like viewer, like a dashboard you can go on there, but I think the really interesting point to your question is less about like what ideas can I make up and more about how do they like determine what the right outcome is.
That gets me too sometimes. Yeah. Like who's who yeah, how does that pay out? There has to be someone there.
Right. Someone just says like,
well, you said there's no house.
Yes.
But who is going to say, aha, that was blue, even when everyone saw it was green Gatorade?
So the way it works is they have this system, it's a decentralized consensus resolution product on blockchain as well called UMA, I think UMA, I no. Sometimes they say Aave incorrectly with the lending product, but UMA, let's just say that basically they are paid by Polymarket a fixed number of dollars to resolve a prediction market correctly.
So it's like arbitration,
basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And which is now we're getting to like legal courts.
Well, this is good because I have questions about how laws work in this new world we're getting into.
So now we're getting to like arbitration as a service in a decentralized consensus network. And I think it's not perfect, right? So Zelensky had problems there was a problem with a market that used Zelensky as a resolution. So I don't know if you noticed this or remember this, but like there was a whole time where he would never wear a suit in front of Trump. There was markets on, is he going to wear a suit?
Yeah.
And so one of the problems was he kind of wore this thing that looked sort of like a suit. Yeah. But was it a suit?
Yeah.
I don't really know.
Yeah.
It looked like a jacket thing with some buttons.
That's like a referee looking at instant replay.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's pretty obvious if it crossed the line, but like, how do you find the suit? Like, is that a suit? And a lot of people got screwed, they think. And it wasn't and that's so hard to do because normally they make resolution terms very clear, or try to at least, which is why I say we're really.
Do they ever just give everyone their money back?
I don't know.
Like, you know what?
I don't think so.
That really was a coin flip. Yeah, I don't know if that was a suit or not. Like that's.
But you can contest the resolve.
Yeah.
So you can say this resolution was contested because I think every 24 hours you can.
Is there a customer service department?
It's more decentralized. It's like a forum. You say like this makes no sense, and then people can vote on it on chain. And say like this needs to be reviewed.
Oh wow!
And then they have a whole voting
Sophisticated.
thing. Yeah. That's a whole business.
Well, my idea for getting rich was this: why don't we start a market of what we're going to say on this podcast? Like create a market where you have insider knowledge.
Yeah.
But you just have to hope then that people bet on it.
But now you're basically getting to like meme coins where you rug other people, except the liquidity.
Well, that's true. And I'm just being silly here.
No, of course,
but that's kind of like that, isn't it?
Totally.
Where if you create an altcoin or a meme coin, and if you can get people buying it, but good luck.
Yeah.
Very few do. Most just stay worthless. So if I created a betting pool and said, MNblockchain will create 10 podcasts this year or whatever. Yeah. And then I've told, we have control over that. Control. So like, we're going to win. We're going to win this bet, but no one's going to bet on it. So who cares?
Or maybe it has to be like the terms say it has to be with a guest. And then I get together with the guest and I say, no one go on a show. We have 9. Everyone take the no. And you put 10 grand on it and we all won $1,000 because no one wanted to come on the show. You only got 9 in and you got screwed because we screwed you.
There's going to be a
market.
Yeah.
It's a fun idea. But
can I propose any bet I want?
No, I think Polymarket has pretty tight control over that, at least for now.
Oh, it'll determine. So it came up with these weird ideas like Gatorade colors.
Yes, and that's actually.
I thought for sure it was.
Well, the
market was created by the
Gatorade color one was an older one that they copy. So they use some existing lines.
Okay,
but there are specific, so Polymarket was broad. I don't want to say irrelevant. That's like very not fair. They were growing, but not nearly as relevant as they are now. They are a Tom Brady says it on TV type during a broadcast, which is incredible. Very impressive work they've been doing there. And I think what really catastrophically increased their engagement more than I think they were aware of was the latest election. Everyone was betting on the election. It was I think it was billions of dollars, I think at the time. Now that's pretty normal for their big ones. Billions of dollars in volume. And that became the source of truth. And when it happened, the election occurred, the amount of involvement in trading and you could literally predict it went from like a 40 to a 60 to an 80 and then stayed, and then it went straight up. And it was like, it was like 9:30 that night. I was looking at it, I'm like, this looks basically decided. And I went to bed and it predicted it hours before the actual voting came in even.
So do you watch Polymarket? Do you go to the website like you do Twitter or X and just to see where things are on these betting pools to get your news, as you put it?
It's not quite as easy of a user experience, but what I think is going to happen is you take the AI points we talked about earlier. What we're going toward is I don't like to use Twitter more than I need to, right? It's like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
And so my agent, my social agent, my internet news agent is going to go, AI is going to look, here's what's going on Twitter. Here's what's going on Polymarket. Connect the dots. What's actually happening? And I'm not going to get some fake spam noise. I'm going to get like actual stuff. That's like, hey, they posted this. By the way, in the past 12 hours, this has actually changed materially.
Wow.
And that, that can be, maybe Trump's going to do whatever.
That is so much more efficient than waiting for an article from your favorite reporter.
Who has to verify all these things. It just doesn't work out like that.
Wow. And how about Grok? Grokopedia?
Yeah. I use
believe
Grok.
in it.
I think
I use
has a
Grok
path.
too.
It has a path, especially if they get really good with their Twitter feed. I try to ask. So I don't know how much you use Twitter, but I go on there and I see posts. And I'm like, this is a really good post. And then it was I just got on the app. So then it like shows it and then it flashes and it's gone. I'm like, no, that was interesting.
Oh yeah.
And then I had to use Grok and I'm like, okay, I just saw this tweet on my feed. Here's what I remember. And it found it. And if that gets good enough, that's really compelling.
Yeah, I like Grok. I pay for Twitter Verified, so I get Grok anyway. I think that comes with it.
I think so too.
So there you go.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
And it's one of the many non-corporate.
Yeah, it feels less corporate.
Yeah. I think is important.
And then I guess metrics say it's right up there with all the others, and even more neutral when it comes to like controversial stuff. And I really want that.
There's a really interesting idea, which is basically you talk to these agents and you ask them questions and you say, tell me what you think of this concept, reply in only one word. If you ask them, you can really get a good understanding of their bias. Yeah. And I think that is not well understood whatsoever because agents will always choose to say, or like sometimes they'll respond in a word and you'll be like, okay, you're clearly biased. Do you say Biden good, Trump bad? It's like, okay, that was very clear. But sometimes they'll say, I'm not really going to engage in this game because that's not nice. And then you're like, well, maybe the agent's actually more biased because it refuses my requests. Yeah. And I'm paying this company. That's like going to a bar and the bartender says, no, you don't need that. You need this. I'm like, nah, screw you. Okay, buddy. Yeah. I want to go to the other bar.
I think Grok will thrive. It might be it won't be mainstream. It won't be in all the schools and the colleges necessarily, but there's always going to be this, just how X thrives.
Absolutely.
Even though most people I know, well, I don't know if it's most, but a lot of people I know don't go on it.
And our circles are a little different than the average. Yeah. But I think Twitter is like, I've talked to my family and my friends and it's like hit or miss. Yeah. Most people are kind of like, it's a little hard to use.
It's harsh is what it is.
It is.
It's harsh.
And the content on there is not easy to consume in like the sense that it's like shorts. Shorts are like brain dead.
It's also not easy to consume in the spiritual sense.
Absolutely.
Like
I found myself like feeling
down.
dirty.
Yeah. It's just so much shit going on out there. Excuse my language.
No, I totally agree.
But I love how you think about your baby.
Yeah.
And what a new exciting world we're embarking on.
Yeah.
Like we're not like you could look at this two very different ways. And one is we are about to lose control and be like, and you could even use the same analogy, but mean it in two entirely different ways. Like, we're going to lose our grip. And that could mean we're flailing all over the place, or that could mean we're going to remove the shackles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And both are going to happen.
At the same time.
Yeah.
At the same time.
But you look at the shackles being let go.
There's a lot of sound and clean.
But it's a freedom.
Yeah.
Now we can do what we want. You know, like, will your child go to the local public school? Will they join a homeschool co-op?
Yeah.
Will it be an online education only? Will a Zoom call with some language teacher to teach my kid whatever language I want?
Yeah.
Not just one or two.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
The options are way more open.
Everyone's going to have a PhD level of everything in their pocket.
This one size fits all. Like I just saw like Ramsey county teachers were going to go on. They avoided it. I guess they just averted it. But like, the teachers are going to go on strike. And I'm like,
really?
It just struck me as odd that,
interesting.
Well, teachers go on strike all the time.
No, of course.
But like
in this climate, it doesn't feel like they understand.
Well, Minneapolis Chicago teachers are, you hear about them striking almost every year, it feels like. But maybe it wasn't the county. I don't know. It was a large school district in the St. Paul area.
Sure.
And it's just the idea of a district having one, like that just seems like the district says this. I'm like, it feels so antiquated.
Yes.
It feels like a dinosaur that we're going to have this one way. And I understand pooling resources and all that, but I'm like, that's not very, like in this millennium, kids are going to have tailored learning systems. AI will be a part of that, but just the internet.
Oh yeah.
Right. Just
that was the big issue I had with like a public school education, which I think it was good in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But it was incredibly inefficient.
Yeah.
And it's even worse because of AI and the way that it's going to tailor knowledge.
Yeah.
And what I think about with my daughter here in a month is, when she comes into this world, she's really early on in that experience that I'm having right now, which is I believe AI is going to mature a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And that means the skills that we need to survive are going to be different. And I think what we need to lean into is the concept of agency. You need to have the desire to do change and actually do it. Curiosity to where you have to continue to learn. You can't stop learning. If you stop learning, the AI is just not going to, AI is going to be, stay the same. It's not going to go with you.
Dumbbell.
It's going to be.
Those with the passion.
Yes.
Those with, a lot of people don't have drive. I don't know.
Unfortunately.
Do you ever see I see on TikTok sometimes someone will hold space. They'll say, I'm going to hold space.
I've never heard that. What is this?
Well, for a while, there was this one woman, a young woman, I think she put her Christian faith out there and just said, I'm going to hold space. And she would just sit there and look into the camera. And people were pouring their hearts out. And so I was touched.
Interesting.
Yeah. She'd do this night after night.
Huh. Like a live?
Yeah. TikTok
okay.
live. Yeah.
Sure.
And then I've seen this thing where it looks like a Minecraft or a Roblox character looking off onto this prairie and the grass is blowing and it's playing this soft music. And that's all it is on a loop.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's beautiful.
And people are sharing their stuff. And while that's on one hand, and you ever read YouTube comments underneath some beautiful music?
Oh, yeah.
You'll see comments like, I don't know who you are, but whoever you are reading this, I hope you have the best day of your life.
Oh, yeah.
I love you. You're loved.
And it's like,
and I'm just like melting with affection here. Like, this is what the internet gives us. This is so beautiful. Which is funny that I'm bringing up this point because I started mentioning this to bring up the opposite point,
right?
Which is that there are so many people hurting out there. They were raised in tough circumstances. They're crippled with depression or anxiety or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're feeling so vulnerable and don't know what to do. And they'll say so in these comment streams and you can't keep up with them. There's so many.
Right.
And so for the voracious, the hungry, the curious, the take the world by the horns person, it's a crazy, exciting new world.
There's never been this much opportunity in human history.
But for those who want security, I think a part of the struggle for young people now is that the old graduate high school, go to college, get a job, get a house, get married, have kids, which kept decades and generations of people content. Maybe not college for all of them, but the same.
Sure. Yeah.
That's no longer there anymore.
Absolutely. And then we're still getting recommendations from parents and grandparents. You just got to work hard and get a job. And that is not the environment we live in today.
Yet you just said there's more opportunity than ever.
Not through that path.
So it's a new path.
Yeah. It's a totally separate path. And I think entrepreneurship is the path. It's going to look different, but the leverage that people today are provided, if they make their own path, will be by far better on average. But you have to have the curiosity and the drive to actually do it.
And learn how to shoot a gun.
That is also pretty helpful. Yeah. If
you're in the U.S. and can have it.
Yeah, legally in your jurisdiction.
Yeah.
And probably get backup food, backup water.
Do you have a bug out bag?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Do you? Yeah. Oh, man, I'm behind here.
Yeah.
I got a freezer full of venison now.
That helps. But what happens when your electricity goes out? Yeah. Got to get some MREs and
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Scary, but
Well, I got some jerky. That'll last a while.
oh yeah. Venison's good.
Oh, dude. It's
Very good.
awesome. I had some earlier. I'm going to have some tonight when I go home.
Very good.
Yeah. I got a little
Love
buck
it.
this year.
Really nice.
Yeah. Do you have some land where you hunt?
Yeah, we have a few acres. So this year has been crazy as we moved in, but next couple of years we have almost an absurd amount of deer.
Yeah.
Like 10 a day, we'll see.
It's crazy how different it is.
It's
Up where I
nice.
hunt in northern Minnesota, there's lots of wolves.
Oh, really?
So the deer-
you're really
the deer
you're almost near
population-
Canada?
Yeah, hour and a half south.
Okay, sure. That's beautiful though.
Bemidji,
Okay,
Itasca
sure.
County, technically.
Yep.
Yeah, up there.
Yeah, we'll see turkey as well.
Mm.
I like to go pheasant hunting with my dad's family. So
Mm.
yeah, when I don't know, it's funny not to like bring it back to that, but I feel this really intense sense of urgency. Maybe it's the kid coming or the family I'm starting and all this fun stuff, but also AI feels like if I don't make it soon, not that it's going to be bad, but like it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's such an opportunity here that like it's hard for me to rationalize. I love the experience of going outdoors and I have to go walking once a day to get out of my zone, but like also instead of working, I could go hunting and it's like hard for me to rationalize like, I got to establish myself. It's like this, maybe that's just a me thing, but you have this compulsion to build because it's not going to be this way even in a year. Better get cooking, I guess.
Well, we'll have you back in a year.
Let's do it.
Thanks for the time tonight.
Absolutely. This is really fun.
I know you moved out of the city, so
Yes,
it'll be a drive home for you tonight.
Actually, so I'm going up to Wisconsin to visit my wife, and she has some work there, but we're going back. So we're doing a little triangle.
Oh, cool.
Was in town, visit some family. It was a good time.
Thanks so much for the insight into
of course.
prediction markets. And I now that I know that they can be a tool for real-time information.
Mm-hmm. Check it out before news sources and see how long it takes them to report on it.
That's interesting. I'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your optimism.
Yeah.
For your knowledge of all this
Which is
stuff.
ironic. I'm a little bit doomer on certain things, but I say it'll work out, I guess. I hope it does. I believe in humans.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. I believe some good in the world, Mr. Frodo.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my mindset.
There you go. All right, cool. Well, thanks so much, Carter.
Oh, thank you, Brandon.
All right, we'll see you.
Yeah, bye-bye.